Geology Lou here. Today, on the day that is today in history, I want to talk about my favorite mineral, that'd be quartz. It's the one that started it all. I'll put it that way. Hey. And oh, wow. Should I go this way? This way. Let's get into it. So, a little background. I moved to Louisiana in August of 2022, and I was just looking around the area for things to do. So I went on Google, things to do near me. And the first thing I actually came across was the Crater of Diamonds State Park in Arkansas. And that was a couple hours from me, not too bad. And then the next thing on the list that I saw was Fisher Mountain, where you could mine quartz. And I was like, oh, those are so pretty, because there was a bunch of pictures of quartz crystals. I had started doing some research, looking at campgrounds in the area, and I planned my first trip. My husband and I went, and we had the most amazing time. It was so much fun. It was very beginner friendly, and the workers there were super helpful. They told you what to look for when you get up to the mountain, and we spent all day, the whole time that they were open, looking for crystals, because once you get good at finding them, you see them left and right up there. I'll throw in some footage here of my very first trip. It was such a great time. I will say I had a lot of small crystals because anything I saw I wanted to keep, because I didn't know the potential of what could come out of the tailings piles. Now, for those of you that don't know, tailings piles are basically the leftovers from the main mine. And a lot of places will dump the tailings piles and open it up for the public to come dig. And for Avant specifically, we pay $25 a day. Their hours are listed on the internet if you want to check it out. Finding these crystals, I would say, is so addicting, because once you find one, your adrenaline gets pumping, you get so excited, and you're just ready to find the next one and see what better quality, if you can find a bigger one. It's such an exciting experience. I really encourage anybody to get out and go to a mine near you and just experience nature and getting hands-on and finding the pretty things that the earth can make. It's amazing, really. Okay, now that story time's over, let's talk science. Today, while we cover quartz crystals, I want to go over what it is, how it is, where it is, why it is. It is what it is. And before I get into it all, I do want to throw out there, I am a geology student, so my terminology may be off. I might say something wrong. Feel free, throw it in the comments if you know what I'm talking about, or if you have some extra facts to share and you just want to tell the world, because that's what I'm here to do. So if you care about it, share about it, because I'm about it, so let's be about it. Quality quartz, baby, let's go. Quick little intermission in the video. Shout out to my mom for getting me this new gimbal that comes with a detachable remote, because now all of my filming is going to be so smooth. And yes, I'm doing that from a remote. That is crazy to me. And she also got me these new little clip-on microphones to make my audio way better. But I also don't want to be one of those people that just kind of holds my mic and talks like I'm talking into the world's smallest violin. So let's figure something out. I think we're just gonna have Miss Ma'am hold the microphone here. Okay, let's get back to the video before I totally drain all of the batteries that I'm using right now. Thanks again, Mom, for buying me this new filming equipment. My videos are going to be awesome. Okay, so quartz doesn't just randomly grow into whatever shape it wants. It actually follows some rules. Quartz has a hexagonal structure, which means at an atomic level, the silicon and the oxygen are stacking in a very specific repeating pattern. That pattern controls the outside shape. That's the shape that we see. And that's why when you look at a classic quartz point, it has 6 sides and that little tip that's shaped like a pyramid on top. So that shape that you see isn't just aesthetics, it's actually math. This one that I'm holding in my hand is the classic prism shape. It's what most people think of when they think quartz crystals. It's got those 6 flat sides and the point at the top. This happens when the crystal has room to grow freely and basically choose its form. This shape occurs when a crystal has room to grow in an open cavity. It grows evenly on all 6 sides, molecule by molecule, which means very slowly. So if a crystal has the space, you get nice even sides and a good symmetrical point. And if it didn't, things get a little weird. Here we have a cluster formation. This crystal just grew with some friends. Clusters happen when multiple crystals start forming in the same cavity. They're all kind of just competing for space. So when you look at a cluster, you'll see tall ones, small ones, some are slightly bent, and sometimes they're intergrown. They're not necessarily messy, they're just crowded. I love clusters because they remind me of bouquets of flowers, but made of crystal, which is pretty cool. Another shape that you can see when looking at quartz crystals is double terminated. Now, I don't have any double terminated crystals in my collection, but I do have this tiger's eye that I bought from a rock shop to give you a good example of what double terminated looks like. Sometimes quartz grows with a point on both ends. That means it wasn't attached to the wall of a cavity, that it was floating in mineral-rich fluid, and it grew freely on both sides. The double terminated crystal is literally formed, suspended, in really hot, silica-rich water found underground. Another one that I don't really have a good example of is a scepter. If you ever see a quartz crystal that looks like a smaller crystal growing on top of a skinnier base, that's called a scepter. It kind of looks like a magic wand with a ball on the end. This happens when the chemistry of the fluid that the crystal is growing in changes mid-growth. Then, when it starts to grow again, it grows a little bit different. It's kind of like the crystal reinvented itself halfway through its growing process. Next, we have etched or skeletal quartz. Sometimes quartz will grow super fast. And when that happens, the faces don't fill in completely, and you get these stepped, almost geometric indentations. This is the best example that I have of skeletal quartz. I'm pretty sure this is skeletal quartz. It may just be a piece covered in keys. So yeah, every face, angle, and weird little growth pattern tells you something about the space and time underground. But shape isn't the only story that quartz can tell, because once you understand the structure, you can talk about the color. So pure quartz, like absolutely pure silicon dioxide, is actually colorless. Clear, transparent, and almost invisible if it's clean enough. But here's the thing, nature almost never does perfectly, never does perfectly, oh my. Nature almost never does perfectly pure. Quartz gets color because of impurities or exposure to radiation during growth. Not paint, not dye, not magic. Tiny chemical changes. And this part is pretty cool because the colors are like chemical fingerprints. Citrine is yellow to orange in color. Sometimes it forms naturally from iron as well, just in a different state. Fun fact, a lot of citrine on the market is actually heat-treated amethyst, so technically same starting material. It just has a different temperature history. Now, milky quartz is pretty commonly found in the tailings piles in Arkansas, and it looks so milky because it has microscopic fluid inclusions inside. Inclusions are basically teeny tiny bubbles of water. So it's not impure in a dirty way, it just froze in a moment during its formation, which is kind of poetic. And a super popular one is rose quartz, that famous pinky reddish colored quartz. Rose quartz gets its color from trace elements like titanium and iron, or even manganese. And usually, rose quartz doesn't form those perfect little quartz points that we see. It tends to form more in massive chunks. So chemistry doesn't always just affect the color, it can affect the growth too. Smoky quartz is also pretty popular. The grayish color forms when natural radiation combines with aluminum impurities. And the radiation changes the way that light moves through the crystal. That's why they look smoky brown to almost black. Again, it's the same mineral, but a different experience underground. Moving into amethyst, there's a common misconception surrounding amethyst, and a lot of people don't think it's actually quartz. Amethyst is just purple quartz, and it's purple because of the tiny amounts of iron in the crystal structure. And then natural radiation changes the iron's oxidation state. So quartz turns purple because of iron and radiation and time. Yet again, it's the same mineral, but a different story.
So when you look at quartz now, it's not just a pretty crystal. It's a record. The shape tells you how much space it had, and the clarity tells you how slowly it grew. The color will tell you what's happening chemically underground in that area, and every little imperfection will tell you something that changed along the way. And the coolest part is that all of that came from hot, silica-rich water moving through cracks in the earth millions of years ago. And somehow, it ended up in my hand, pulled from a tailings pile on Fisher Mountain in Mount Ida, Arkansas. Same mineral, different stories, every single time. And that's why I love quartz. So if they ask you who told you, tell them Geology Lou. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.